how to use layer effects in Affinity Photo, how to access them, how to modify them, and create all kinds of shadows, 3D effects, outlines, etc. Let's just close this panel. And you can see I've got a shadow effect. You can see that I've got a layer effect because it says effects with that ellipse. Now this ellipse I'm using could be any shape, could be type, it could be any layer. Doesn't have to be an ellipse. This is just for the example of this video. But how to access it? Right click when you've got the shape selected or whatever. Layer effects. You access it via that. Or, which I generally do, is select it here, go to effects and click. As soon as you do that, you can see you've got this panel. And this panel's got a number of options. You've got Bevel emboss, outline 3D, some more effective than others. Many of them are very similar. You've got inner shadow. You've also got outer shadow. And also you've got inner glow and outer glow. You also notice I've got a couple of copies as well because you've got this plus. And I'm going to go over that in a sec. So let's just remove these, put it back to the default situation. So deselect that. To activate any of these options, if you want Bevel emboss, say, want a Bevel emboss? To activate it, you need to click here, make certain that's activated. And to actually access all the various controls, you need to highlight it. If you don't highlight it, you will not see the controls. Now, I'm going to go with Bevel emboss. Over here, you've got type. That's not type like characters, letters, text, etc. This is type. So inner and outer and emboss. They're all variations of the same thing. One is inner, obviously. One is outer. One is a combination of the two, and so on. Likewise, pillow is again another variation of inner and outer. So once you've done that, once you've set it the thing you want, you can change its radius, and you'll notice you've got this slider. Sliders are useful, you can just slide it backwards and forwards, but you'll notice this one goes up to 100. If you use a slider, that's it. If you want to push it more than that, you can. You can enter a value, 1024. Many of them can, not all. Not all of the controls allow you to go beyond their limit. It will just, no. It will just keep it at the value, the maximum. You'll also know some options have got this. Linked. So if you deselect that, you can then change the depth. Now I'm not going to change that, but you can do it if you want. Just click there, it's linked. So when you change the radius, change the depths as well. You may or may not want that. You can also change the soften. You can see you can reduce down so you make it really coarse looking. Maybe you want that, depending on what you want to achieve. And you can see the pillow effect there. It's not an unusual pillow effect, but that's what it is. But you can extend this, so I'm just going to put it again. This is another one that you can extend. Now, I'm just going to put 100. And you can see it creates a nice blurry effect with that. Also, you've got profiles. Many of the tools in this have got profiles. Now, unfortunately, you can't add your own profiles. It does come with a set of standard profiles or default profiles. So you can just click there and you can see you can achieve different things just by clicking there. And it will change this curve. And you can change the curve as well. So you can click on here and you can drag this down. As you do that, you can see the change. You can also click on this and add another point, change that, click on that, change, and so on. You can also press the delete key, make certain you select it, and then press delete. And you can remove it. You've also got the option for linear, so you can make that one there linear. And you can see a linear effect there applied. You could also invert, so you can see as you go, it goes up above that way, or invert, goes that way. That's all it does, based on this direction. So you can go direction, so if I push the direction that way, you can see again, that colour there. If I go this way, it goes that side. And you can move it around, so it goes that one, you can see it's there now. If I push it that way, the light, that way. You've also got options here for highlight. And you can see the purple here, obviously that's a highlight applied to it around that edge. And you can also see it there. Let's just go to emboss. And you can see that applied there. You've also got the shadow. So let's just click here I'm using linear light. Let's just go for normal or difference. You can vary these. And you can see the result of that just by changing that and changing the colour. Let's click there, maybe go for green, and you can see the green there and the way it combines there, the difference. You can see that just changing, just by changing that. And you can again change it. As you change it over, you can see that just changes. And you've got the purple on that side, but as you change, that red goes there, and the yellow just encroaches there. And you can change it. You don't have to go with that. You can go with, say, that colour, white. And you've got purple there, and so on. So there's a number of combinations. You can just, by tweaking this difference, or you can put it right at the dead centre. Just put it right at the centre there, and you will lose that. That suddenly will go, that purple. Just that dead centre, it's gone. Move it slightly out, then you get that effect. That's for bevel emboss. Create all kinds of combinations, some better than others. But also what you can do, you can deselect it. You don't have to use it. You can use all of them. You can use all of them in combination if you want to. But for purposes of this tutorial, running through them quickly, I'm just going to select, say, outline. And you'll notice in outline, you've got an option for a plus. And what that means, you can add additional ones. And you can do that for a number of them. You can see inner shadow, colour overlay, gradient overlay, and outer shadow. They've all got a plus, so you can add multiple entries. So with outline, let's just change this. I'm just going to put it to type linear. No, let's just go for solid colour. So you've got solid colour, and you can see the solid colour there, blue. That's around here. Now you'll notice you've got alignment. Alignment can be centre, or it can be outside. So outside, you can see the setting here, 100. You can set that as well. You can go and put that to, say, 600. So you can see it makes it massive. Or you can make it 50. But what you can also do, that's outside of the circle. You can make it inside. So you can see now it's gone inside. It's gone into the inner part of it. But you can go for centre. And now, when it's in centre, you've got it at 25 in, 25 out. You can also change the opacity. So let's just reduce the opacity so you can make it fade away. You can change the blending mode. So depending on the other entries you've got, obviously in this case, it doesn't make any difference. Let's just put it back to normal. But you can click plus. So click plus, and with that, it just duplicates it. That's all it does. You've got a duplicate now. Now, because you can go over here to the radius, let's just put that to 100. Now, because it's the same colour, you won't notice any difference. It just becomes a bit bigger. But let's go and change that colour to, say, green. Now, because this one is on top of this one, it covers it because it's 100. The other one's 50. So it just completely covers it. You can select this one, and you can go down here, and you can see you've got to move up and move down. So if you want to reorder it, just click there. Now the blue one is on top of the green one. And you can then change the radius here, and you can see as you change it, make it up to 100 or whatever, or reduce it down. Again, centre, you can change that if you want. But also what you can do, turn around and say, well, I don't want a solid colour. Contour. So contour, you can create, love it, it's from gradient. It's very similar to the other one. There's another option here called gradient. I don't know why I just didn't combine the two. Would have been nice, instead of having an entry, another entry, makes no sense. But still, contour, and you can see you've got the white, which is that outer bit, all the way through to the black, which is the inner part. And you've got the green, obviously, in between. You can click on that, you can change the gradient. So you can click on it any time, you can add stops, you can change this, you can move it back and forth, and you can add more than one stop. Do all the things you can do with gradients. You can also reverse it. So if you want it the other way around, you've got the white there in the centre and black on the edge. Reverse and so on. You can just tweak it, change the opacity, change the midpoints, so you can just make it go more and more black, more and more green. And the result will change here. Now, what you can also do, of course, you can add gradients as well. So you've got a gradient. This time it goes around the edge. You can see this one's linear, and you can change the angle. So you can just change that. Now, you'll notice it's slightly stops. 270, 315. If you hold down the Alt Option key, it will move freely, so you can just see it move around there. And you can see the black. There's the black there at that angle, 31. You can see if I hold, just moving around, you can see the black the other side now, just by changing that. But you've also got elliptical, and you can tweak the scale. Now, scale X is the horizontal, scale Y is vertical. So you can make it very, very thin. And you can also change, obviously you've got the angle change there, so you can make it go vertically like that. Go horizontal or vertical. Just by changing this angle, as well as squeezing it that way. It's scales. Scales in the horizontal, scales in the vertical. You've also got the offset, so you can just move it over. So drag that over there, or going upwards or downwards. So you can just position it if you want. That's the outline. So you can make 5, 10 outlines to combine it to create some amazing designs. So let's deselect those ones and go to 3D. Now 3D is very similar to Bevel and Emboss. It obviously isn't exactly the same, but it's very similar. And you can see then you've got 3D again, highlight it, click to check it, make certain it's on. And you can change radius. In this case, you can't extend the radius. 100 is the limit. And again, it's linked, so you can just deselect that and tweak that. And you can see as you change that, the depth will change. You reduce it down to 0. Personally, that's not much of a use as a 3D effect, but it's the options there. And again, you can link those. You can also soften it, so again, you can make it very coarse and rough. You can sort of make it sharp, or you can go the other way. Personally, I keep it like that, but that's maybe what you want. Profile. Click there, and again, you can tweak this. So profile, you can make a couple of ledges here. So you can just click there, make another one there. So you've got there, and you can see the green there. You've got obviously green there. So all kinds of possible combinations, all from this. Unfortunately, you can't save them. You've just got the standard profiles. You can just click there, and you can see your profile. So you can create something like that, nice, smooth. There, you've got that bevel, just lovely, rounded. And there's a number of other options. You've got diffuse, so you can push it like that, or go there. So you put it down to 0, or you can put it, and you can change the direction. You can put it that way, so you can see you've got the light going that way. Go this side, you can see light going that way. Or up there, again the light's there. Or go that way. You could also add additional light sources, so you can always go there. And I've got here 2, so I'm just going to go 2, and I can change that as well. So you can see I can move that one. And you can set different colours. So you can go and say set that to maybe yellow or blue. And you can tweak it. All kinds of combinations can be made. And you can also add additional ones. If you want to add another one, just move that way. Maybe go for pink or green. Some work better than others. At any point you can close it. You don't have to obviously add all the others. But again, if you want to, you suddenly want to change your mind, click there again, and you can go to 3D. Turn that off. Again, just deselect it there. Now, there's also inner shadow. So go to inner shadow. You can then click here. And within the shadow, you can see you've got this. Now, there's also an option here, offset tool. You think, well, what does that do? Because if you just go over here and you move this around, you can move this around all over the place. But in the shadow, you've got this. And some of the others have got the same thing. Offset tool. Just click it. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be any way to deactivate that other than closing it and starting again. But click there, and then you can move this, not the shape. That's what that does. I don't know why they didn't highlight it or change it. It doesn't seem to do any function other than you click it again, it doesn't make any difference. But you can move it around. As soon as you click this, you can position it. And of course, you can just do it this way with the angle there and change these. But it's a nice way of just moving it back and forth like that. Just position it, offsets it. Maybe in some ways they could have just gone for an offset X and an offset Y. But they didn't. Also, you've got blend mode. So again, you can run through and you can see as you change that. But you'll notice you've got plus as well. So again, you can go for plus. And then you can turn around and say, oh, this inner shadow, I'm going to put it over here. And you can see you can move that around. So you can create all... Now, obviously, that just looks odd. Some of these designs, you start to think, well, maybe go for red there or pink or yellow. And you can see, again, moving that around, it moves that around. Click the offset tool, you can then move this around. As you combine it, you can see what happens there. And you've got linear light there, so you can turn around and say, oh, well, let's go for difference instead, or exclusion, and so on. So you can change that, maybe hue. You can see that, again, just click there, it looks like it loses it every once in a while. And changes the angle. So you've got inner shadow, you've also got outer shadow. So you can click here, and you can see you've got this outer shadow. And that's got a plus as well. So plus means you can add more than one. So I'm just going to quickly change, and you can change the colour. So go for, say, a red shadow. And again, offset tool. If you move this around now, you can see it moves that. If you click offset tool, then you can move the shadow. So you can position it like that. Makes it a lot easier. But it would be nice if it was more obvious how you can deselect it. And again, you've got normal, difference, and so on. But again, click plus. You can see then you've got that. That's just duplicated it. Offset tool, click that again, and you can then move that around. Change that, and you can see as you change that, maybe negation, colour dodge, and so on. You can just tweak it, say, like that. Okay, go back there, make sure you select the shape. If you don't select the shape, you'll notice what happens. It suddenly all deactivates. So you have to select the shape again, then you'll see all the various tools. It does that quite often. I suddenly find that I've got none of the controls available. Quite often I've deselected the shape. You've also got some overlays. Unfortunately, for some weird reason, they didn't include a pattern overlay. Photoshop is a pattern overlay. There's no equivalent in layer effects. It'd be really nice. Also, it would be nice in gradient to actually be able to access the bitmaps. Doesn't seem to be available. But you'll notice you've got a plus and a plus here for the colour overlay. So you can have more than one. So let's now go for gradient overlay. So click that. So gradient overlay. And you can see here, I've got normal blending mode. You can run through those and you can see the result of that. Maybe go for pin light or difference. Elliptical, you can change to linear. You can see the effect there, red to black. Now, to blue. This is just using this gradient, the default gradient of black to white. So you can click here, and what you can do, you can always add some additional stops. You don't have to go with the default. You can always tweak it. Unfortunately, doesn't seem to be any way to access the swatches. So you have to add your own stops here each and every time. So double click and click there and maybe go for green. Double click again and click here and go for blue. So you can create all kinds of combinations of gradients. Now the gradient you can see here, obviously you've got green and blue and black. Well, obviously it depends on here, normal. So if I go up here to normal, you can see there the colour. Black, green and blue and white. You can change the scale, you can see as you do that. Now unfortunately it's not interactive. It'd be really nice if it was, but it's not. You have to do it using the scale X, again horizontally, or Y, which is vertical. Of course, with linear, it doesn't make any difference. You can do that, it doesn't change it here. You can do that there, offset. And you can see, you can just offset it, move it that direction, again, move it that way. Now, there's no offset tool. That would be nice. Many others have got an offset tool. This doesn't seem to have that. Go for radial, and you can see there the result. And you can do exactly the same. Offset X that way, offset Y upwards or downwards. And also you can change the angle. And you can see, now that doesn't change the angle in terms of for how it positions it here, but you can see the angle, just it's just obviously doing something there, some little bit of function there. So you can put it there, and again you can go for elliptical. And you can make, let's go for scale, so you can really crunch that in. And now if I go for angle, you can see that rotates, because it's obviously been crunched in, got an ellipse. And again, you can offset X. Now, as mentioned, you can go for plus. So click plus, which duplicates it. So at the moment, no difference. But now I can go here, offset. So I can just say offset there. Now, because the blending mode is normal, doesn't make any difference. But if I go down here, darken, or multiply, or lighten, you can see the result of it. Maybe go for that one, exclusion. You can see now you've got two. Again, offset, and you can see it goes in there, moves across. Maybe change the angle, we can go that direction. Change the scale. all kinds of combinations of gradients can play. And you can have more than one, so, or two, three or four. And again, change that. Move that direction, change the scale, change the angle, change blend modes. All those sort of combinations can be just by tweaking this third gradient overlay. And you can have more than one, or if you decide, no, I don't want that one now, you can always at any point just click here, the delete effect. And you can do that with any of them. So delete effect, you can just remove it, click there, delete it, and so on. So you can just position it like that. What you can also do is you've got this one, colour overlay. Now colour overlay is an odd one. If you're just using colour overlay without a gradient or image, etc., it works best if you've got an image or something that's got some variation. If you're just putting colour overlay and on top of each other, there's no difference. You just got the top one, green, blue, whatever. So if I just go here, colour overlay, just click there, you can see it's black, normal. So you just, that's it. That's all you can see. So let's just go here now. I can change blend mode. So go for overlay, say, change colour, maybe go for red. And you can see that has an effect. Obviously with gradient overlay, you can select the gradient overlay and you can scale it and change it. But you can go to colour overlay and you don't get many options with colour overlay. Go for hue. And again, you change the opacity and so on. But if I go to plus, just click that, maybe go full green. Again, you just get that end result. But you've obviously got the structure from that gradient overlay. If you deselect the gradient overlay, you just end up with green. It's not ideal. But also, of course, you've got 3D, so you need to combine it with something. That's what I'm saying. Bevel and emboss, combine them together, and you can do all kinds of combinations all together. And at any point, you can always move them up and down. Sometimes, obviously, depending on what you want to achieve, we'll have a different result. So you've got all these, and you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 active. Also, you can go for scale with objects, so as you resize it, it will scale. But I'm just going to turn that off. So say you go here, close, and you've got this design. You're really happy with this design? How to store it? You might want to reuse it. So you can reuse it, just go over here, window, and you'll notice you've got styles. Another option, you could save it as a macro. You could record it. It's a bit of a odd way of doing it, but I would say styles is probably going to be the best one. So go to styles, and you can see here the styles panel, and you can see your style there. Go over here, and you've got all these options here, add new category, rename category, everything like that. And at this point you think, well, how can I save it to it? Because it doesn't seem to have that option. So you just go here, all you've got is default. You can do a search or right click. And there's an option here, create style. Now, there may be some other location in there, but that's one of them, create style. So whatever you've got selected there, right click the shape, and you can go with create style. Create style, and you can see it's just been added. And then you can reuse it. So you say you've got an image or something else. Now sometimes the result is no use. So I'm just going to bring up an image. So an image like this, just deselect that. You can apply styles to them. So click there and you can see the result of that. You end up losing the image. That doesn't obviously happen with everything. If you've just got a very basic thing, so if I go here with this image, I can click here, effects, and I can go to here, and you can see with that, again, the layer needs to be selected so you can see all the options. You can deselect these, and you can see then the result of that. You can see now just by removing 3D. Colour overlay, gradient overlay, and you can see the underlying image. You can see those flowers, but you can also see the colour overlay. Also, the bevel and emboss is being applied. You can see the bevel and emboss there. So you can go to there and you can see obviously that shape, that sharp edge there, and you can tweak that, and you can see as you do that, you can create some interesting designs, and you can see lovely, yeah, you've got that shape like there, and you can tweak the direction, maybe go that side, or click there, maybe go for that instead. and so on. You can just change it and create all kinds of frame effects using this bevel emboss. Or just deselect it, and now you can see just the colour overlay. Or click there and go for gradient overlay. Again, with that, because it's normal, you won't see the image. But if you go for, say, difference, you can then achieve this, a nice colourful effect using difference. So literally millions of combinations. You can obviously apply more than one because you've got this plus. You can create all kinds of gradients that can combine on your image. Obviously, you can do it also, another option, just go to the Tools panel and use gradients. It's another way, of course. But you can also do it this approach, using layer effects. And layer effects are very, very flexible. And of course, you've got all this panel. All these options here can all be applied, like half-tone effects, styles, and so on. All kinds of things. Now, your set may be different from mine. But also what you got, down the bottom, this one. Gaussian blur, which is one of the more unusual ones. Doesn't really fit particularly, I think. It's more just a general effect, filter effect. But Gaussian blur, you can't do much with it. All you've got is this, Gaussian blur and radius. And you can blur the image. So you can just see you can create a very interesting blurred effect, obviously with the flowers, with the gradient all being blurred. One trouble with the Gaussian blur, or Gaussian blur, however you want to say it, it doesn't offer any options for blend modes, which would be a nice addition. You haven't even got opacity. You've got preserve alpha, so you can click there and you can see you get the sharp edge again, if that's what you want. So, or you get the blurred edge. And then click close. And you can see create all kinds of amazing effects with these layer effects, and you can always go at any point, come back here and you can click it again, just click there, bring up the panel and then tweak it, add your gradient overlay, change things and so on to create additional effects with any image as well as type as well. You can use type, just go to the type tool, artistic text and use any of these effects. Some will work well with it, some will not. Not all are effective in the same way. It just depends on the size of the design and so on, and the colours. Well, I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. If you've got any comments about this, because there's lots of features, if there's something that I haven't explained well, please let me know. Also, if there's something I've said incorrect, always great to know that I'm wrong, because there's quite a lot of things I think, oh yes, I understand that. I've done it, worked on it, seems obvious. And the reality is some of the tools are not being used correctly. Things like ambient, I must admit, I always sometimes find that I just confuse myself why it doesn't seem to result in anything sometimes. Certain controls will balance off against another control. You think, oh, why doesn't this change? Why doesn't that change? You change it, nothing happens. So sometimes it's nice to be informed. If you see something, please let me know in that. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe. Thank you much.